Hello and welcome back to another FPL team selection video. Today we're going to take a look at game week 21, and as of recording this today, it has now been announced that the double game week 24 with Liverpool and Everton's fixture has been moved, and they are now both going to have a double game week in game week 24, which is now only 3 weeks away. So we are going to talk a little bit more in depth to that as we get into the video. Of course, we always look at last week's team as well and how we're getting on, and it was an okay week for myself. I think a lot of my players that I've held for a long time done quite well, thankfully. The likes of Raul Jimenez, it was really nice to be on the good side of a haul for him, considering I've had him for about 6 or 7 weeks now and, benched him anytime he has scored. But we're 1.3 million at the minute. Still would like to, obviously improve on that after a poor couple of weeks. But things are going okay. I think mainly my front line kind of carried me this week. My back line was pretty poor. Flecken thankfully picked up a 6-pointer, which was ideal, but Trent wasn't too great, Gabriel not too great either, and obviously the 4.2 million enabler in Castagne only picking up a 1-pointer. But for six of my 7 midfielders and attackers to return this week was pretty decent, so more than happy with that. Unfortunately, the Odegaard experiment hasn't really worked too well. He is going to be someone who's coming out this week because he's just not really been too great, and he's not supplying really any goal threat at the minute, apart from the fact that he is on the Arsenal penalties, which he actually missed in the cup against Manchester United as well. He's going up against Spurs this week, so the fact I'm taking him out means he's definitely guaranteed to score, but we'll wait and see what happens. Now, before we move on, if you do enjoy the video, make sure to leave a like and subscribe as well if you are new here, because we do team selections, transfer tips and lots of other things on FPL every single week. Plus, UCL Fantasy is coming back this week, so we're going to have lots of UCL Fantasy content coming out over the weekend, so make sure you do subscribe and turn on notifications so you know when those videos come out. Looking at the best fixtures for game week 21, we do have 5 teams here who do have who do have green fixtures. And it's kind of the teams we're going to be looking at when it comes to bringing players in. Of course, when it comes to the double game week, we also have to take a look in consideration for that as well. But this week we do have Newcastle, Fulham, Brighton, Man United and Palace who do have the best fixtures. And to be fair, all of them actually have a pretty decent run over the next couple of weeks. Thankfully, we have already loaded up on quite a few players from each of these teams. But the likes of Palace have 4 green fixtures in their next 5, a team that I would definitely like to consider getting some players in. Brighton with Ipswich this week, they also have Man United and Everton. Again, not really too bad, but I don't think it's as great as it kind of shows you. Man United away is not a great fixture, Nottingham Forest away is pretty hard, of course Chelsea in there too. Fulham do still have a pretty decent run for a couple of weeks. We obviously have Castagne, we've got Jimenez in there covering that off, so we've already got the double. And then currently we do have the double up for Newcastle with Anthony Gordon and Isak. So for me, I did mention it in my my transfer tips video this week about bringing in Lewis Hall. He is definitely on the list for me to bring in and get the triple up for Newcastle, because they're in great form now, one of the best defences in the league, up there with Liverpool and Arsenal over the last couple of weeks. Again, all mentioned in the transfer tips video. If you haven't seen it, make sure you do go and watch it this week. But they've got great fixtures as well coming up. Wolves at home, Bournemouth at home, Fulham at home in game week 24. We've got 3 home fixtures in the next 4 games, and of course that away fixture is an easy fixture against Southampton as well. So the best time possible, in my opinion, to get that triple up on Newcastle. I think at the minute with the fixtures here, I'm kind of worried a little bit with Brighton. I don't really see myself bringing any Brighton players in for the near future, and obviously they do have Ipswich this week, and obviously that Everton fixture could be decent in game week 23. They do have a new manager in Moyes though, so I'm not really too sure on how their form could change. But Palace is another one that I'm heavily considering bringing some players in. The likes of Munoz, I've been talking about bringing him in for about 4 weeks now, and I've just had more and more transfers come up that need to be made or that would be better than bringing Munoz in. And to be fair, he hasn't really performed as to how he should be performing in the last couple of weeks, so I have kind of dodged a bullet there. But there are still some really nice fixtures for Palace coming up, and Munoz is definitely on the watch list. Eze as well, Mateta, lots of players. I think the triple Palace could be a really nice move over the next few weeks. So when it comes to double game week 24, of course, Liverpool and Everton, they are both going to be playing each other in 24, as well as their currently arranged fixture. So they're both going to have an extra game, and over the next couple of weeks, you're going to see people start to prepare for that. A lot of people starting to bring in Liverpool triple ups and Everton triple ups. Whether it's a good idea or not, you probably will still see it happen, so that people can have 6 players with a double game week that week. Now, again, not really the best of runs for each team. For the likes of Liverpool, Forest away and Brentford away over the next 2 isn't the best in the world, but I wouldn't, rule out Liverpool, of course. They're the best team in the league so far this season. But when it comes to game week 23, they do have a really nice run. Ipswich at home is obviously one of the best fixtures in the league. Then they've got the double game week, Bournemouth away and Everton away. Really, really nice. If you still have a triple captainship, that probably is your best opportunity to use it, and stick that on Salah in game week 24. And then Wolves at home in game week 25 is another really, really nice fixture. So you are going to see a lot of Liverpool triple ups from a lot of people over the next few. So if you don't have any Liverpool players, if you just have Salah, you're probably going to be trying to use your transfers over the next few to get those guys in. For me personally, obviously I've got Salah and Trent at the minute. I don't really know if I want a third player. No one really sticks out to me too much. I think Luis Diaz with his minutes isn't going to be the best, and I don't think he's going to get like a ton of minutes in the double game week either. The same with the likes of Jota and Gakpo. None of them really stick out too much. So if I was to get someone, it would be the likes maybe of Van Dijk or Kanate or maybe Robertson, or of course the assistant manager chip and using Arne Slot. I haven't fully looked into it yet. I'm planning to get a video out on the assistant manager chip and the best times to use it, and hopefully the next week or so. But as I said, there is Champions League on next week, so I'm going to have to do those videos as well. So the plan is to hopefully get an assistant manager video out at some point this week, but bear with me on that. It should be out in the next week or 2 at least, but obviously that goes live in game week 24, so I wouldn't be able to use Slot for the Ipswich match, which is just something that you could consider. With Everton, however, there's really no one that sticks out for me. They don't have the best run of fixtures, and adding a Liverpool game into game week 24 is probably going to be a 2-pointer for most Everton players anyway. So when it comes to bringing in a couple Everton players, it's not really the most appealing. Villa at home, tough. Spurs at home is tough. Brighton away is tough. Obviously, the Leicester fixture in 24 was going to be there anyway, so if I was to imagine there wasn't a double game week, I probably still wouldn't be bringing any Everton players in just for that Leicester fixture. And then obviously Palace away in 25, isn't the best game either. I've put together a list of players that I would potentially consider though, when it comes to both these teams. Of course, Salah and Trent for me nailed on for these next couple of matches, and of course a double game week. Diaz I am considering, but I think in all honesty I probably won't have him, and I think I'll go into the double game week with just the 2 Liverpool players. When it comes to Everton, Pickford's on the list for myself because I do currently have Flecken and he's not the best goalkeeper. When it comes to clean sheets, he is doing really well for saves, but clean sheets and bonus points and stuff, he's not really there. Again, the thing with Everton is we've still got a couple of weeks until that double game week comes up, and we can see how Moyes plays and how who becomes important players in the team and who's going to be doing quite well, which is why I've stuck McNeil in there, because I think he could be someone that does do well. Obviously, we've seen it at the start of the season, him performing really nicely, and he is cheap as well, similar price to Morgan Rogers. It could just be a straight swap for him if he does well over the next couple. So for me, I think I'll just be looking at Liverpool players, again, really just the Salah and Trent Alexander-Arnold, potentially having Pickford on the list, but I think for double game week 24, I'm not really seeing myself having too many players for that. Which does bring me to my transfers for this week, and we are using our 2 free transfers, which is going to leave us with 0, and Odegaard's going to be coming out for Bruno Fernandes. He is the fixture against Southampton at home, and he is covering off Man United for the next few games. He is one of the better midfielders, I think, for the upcoming games. Obviously, his stats have been great throughout the whole season, scored as well in the FA Cup against Arsenal, so I think he could do quite nice. Then Rico Lewis is finally coming out. City have a horrible run up until until about game week 28, 29, and Lewis has been sitting on my bench essentially for however many weeks. So it was about time to get rid of him. Lewis Hall is going to be the guy coming in and completing that Newcastle triple up. So very excited for the upcoming weeks with Hall, Gordon and Isak. Newcastle have great fixtures, and it's just good to get rid of someone like Rico Lewis, who has been very poor over the last few weeks. So that leaves me with a team that looks something like this, and honestly, looking at the whole team in general, I genuinely think I'm about 2 players away from an ideal wildcard this week. I think Flecken would come out and Alex Moreno would come out. Other than that, I think every other player in here I probably would have on a wild card. I think I've got the best midfield that you can have at the minute. I think Mbeumo's the only one that's missing, but he does have hard fixtures, so whether I would bring him in on a wild card or not, is a totally different question. Happy with the way that looks. My front 3, Isak, Wood and Jimenez, are doing great right now. More than happy with those guys. Trent and Gabriel, 2 mainstays. I don't think I'm going to be getting rid of them until the end of the season unless I'm desperately needing like a Haaland in, which I can't see happening. Hall, of course, the best defender in the last couple of weeks. I think he's the highest scoring defender in the last 5 game weeks. Finally bringing him in after a few. So really it's just Alex Moreno. I think I would rather have Munoz than him, and then Flecken I'd have Pickford. But of course I don't have the money in the bank for that. I've only got 0.2 mil in the bank at the minute, so those transfers aren't possible. But we'll wait and see what happens. I think again, as I mentioned, when it comes to bringing in Liverpool and Everton, I'm not rushing too much into it. Everton's fixtures aren't great in the long run, and I don't really think there's too many good FPL picks outside of Salah and Trent for the Liverpool squad. Again, still get a couple of weeks to decide on that. But Isak's going to be the captain this week. All explained in this week's captaincy video if you want to take a look at that. And that's the way things are looking. I think I might regret benching Chris Wood against Liverpool. Tempted to play him over Rodgers. He is the away fixture against Everton. But I think for now I'm just going to play Rodgers and see how it goes. Obviously, new manager bounce with David Moyes in there as well. But I already had it so far this season when I benched Isak against Liverpool and he picked up a 11-pointer, I want to say. So can see the same thing happening with Wood. But I think it's just a smart move at the minute to bench him against the best defence in the league. So that's how the team's looking. Let me know what you think. Again, like I said, I do think this is very, very close to the ideal team for this week. Very close to the wildcard team that I would be putting together. Again, make sure to subscribe if you enjoyed. And as I said, hopefully we get an assistant manager video out by the end of the week. So make sure you keep a lookout for that. So thank you all so much for watching, and I'll see you all in the next one.